Alright, today we have Kim's Loaded Tater Tot Bake, and this is a very simple recipe. I'll be starting off by showing you the ingredients, and then you can find out how much of these ingredients are used in the description area of the video. So basically I won't take up much of your time going through the amounts that you'll need for the ingredients. I'll just tell you what they are. And you can modify these to your liking, especially with the seasonings, as some people do not want certain seasonings in their food. So keep that in mind. First of all, you do want to use about a 32-ounce bag of tater tots. Now this makes a batch serving for 12 people. You can make this in one of the large 3-quart casserole type dishes. And so it's pretty filling, you know, it'll fill up lots of people. So basically you want to make sure you have a baking dish that's large enough for, I'd say, 10 to 12 people. So basically we have our bottom, which is going to be our 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. And then we have green onions diced up, yellow and orange bell peppers. Then we have some various cheeses here. In this dish, the cheese, you can use your own personal preference on your cheeses. And then for veggies, we have about 4 ounces of our green beans. Now you need a total of about 16 ounces or a pound of veggies that are frozen and have been thawed. Keep that in mind. But we didn't want all mixed veggies, so we added a few more green beans in there. And then just any type of frozen meatball. And then for the seasoning, I chose to use Salt for Life, which is a lower sodium. It's 70% less sodium than table salt. It has a sea salt blend in there. So basically, that's the what the ingredients consist of, and we'll go ahead and get started. It's a very simple dish to make. Again, read the description in the video, and it will show you approximately how much of each of these ingredients you will need to make this dish that serves about 12 people. See you back in a bit. By the way, also preheat your oven at this time to 350. Okay, next what we're going to do, I have the 2 cans of cream of mushroom. I pour those in a bowl, and then basically we're just going to add our veggies in there. And this is going to be like the bottom layer of the tater tot bake. So get those in there. And we'll put our meatballs in there. And I have a little olive oil heating up on the stove. I'm going to saute the green and yellow peppers and green onions just to get them give them a little boost, I should say, to start cooking, so that way they aren't really firm in this casserole type dish. It's nothing worse than taking a bite of something like this and then you have overly crunchy veggies in there. And I think that's part of the reason it's best to use the mixed veggies, or whichever frozen veggie you choose to use, or fresh. I would suggest cooking fresh vegetables in this dish if you're going to use fresh carrots or green beans. You may want to cook those halfway through so they're not overly firm when you or your guests go to dig into this dish. Okay, so I'll go ahead and saute the bell peppers and onions, and then we'll layer the dish and put it in the oven. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm just going to slightly saute these veggies. These are going to give it a nice little colorful, along with a tasty flavor in this casserole dish. I'm just going to slightly saute these, not all the way until they're translucent or too soft, but just to give them a kickstart. so they don't have to fully cook in this casserole, since everything is pretty much pre-cooked in this dish. We don't want the veggies to be overly crunchy. Well, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put the veggies in there that I sauteed. And I'm also going to add some of my Salt for Life salt in here. And again, this is a lower sodium salt. It's about 70% less sodium than regular table salt. And it doesn't have any type of aftertaste either, I might add. Okay, so there's our ingredients there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, first of all, is spray. I'll go ahead and spray this dish. Don't want anything sticking. And again, these are pretty much all of our ingredients mixed in. Let's see. Left-handed, but I think I can manage doing this with my right hand. For the purpose of the video, go ahead and get all that in there. Feels so awkward when you have to do stuff with your opposite hand. Okay, but we'll improvise for video purposes. Okay, so, and basically, as I mentioned, this is going to be the foundation of our dish. So our bottom layer, in other words. Okay, get that meatball in there. Okay, see, we have our mixed veggies giving off a nice, pretty, bright color, along with our meatballs in there, and we see our corn. Nice amount of veggies in this dish, and protein. Okay. So what we'll do is I'm going to use some of our cheese now. And again, you will see the amounts of these ingredients, and you can modify them to your liking or to your family's needs, along with the optional salt that I used. And at this point, I think I'm going to add some pepper as well. Go ahead and put some pepper in there. So basically, I mixed up all of the ingredients minus the cheese. And then I sauteed the green onions and bell peppers, and then mixed them all together with the meatballs and the veggies. And then basically, our tater tots are going to be our topping for this. So, and I still have quite a bit of cheese left too, so if you want to use more cheese or less, it's kind of up to you. You don't want to overdo it with the salt either, since these are pre-cooked tater tots. They do have their fair share of sodium already in them, but I basically want it, and the meatballs do too, since they are pre-cooked, but the veggies were lacking in salt, as well as the fresh bell pepper and onions, so that's why I use the Salt for Life. I do cook with other types of salt, seasoning salts, but I didn't want to use those that would have probably been overpowering in this dish. So we'll go ahead and just pour the rest of those. And again, as I mentioned, this dish will serve 12 people, depending on how big of servings you want. I would say anywhere from 10 to 12. You want to just make sure every piece. You don't want too many layers of tater tots, but you don't want to be able to see your foundation down underneath there either. Okay. Then our oven is preheated at 350. And we'll go ahead and finish this off with the rest of our cheese topping there. This should be pretty darn good. So what I'll do is come back and we will check on this once it is done cooking. See you in a bit. One more thing I forgot to mention. I am going to bake this for about an hour on 350. I'm going to cover it with some sprayed tin foil, aluminum foil, put it in the oven for about an hour. You may want to check it, I'd say about 30 to 45 minutes through, because we're going to be removing this foil closer to the end so we can get a little browning on the top. So yes, you do want to cover this and not put it in there for an hour unbaked. Otherwise, I have a feeling this dish is going to be very dry. So just watch the video and cover it with foil. Put it in there for about 30-45 minutes. Check it and then take the foil off. And I'll walk you through that as I do the same. Okay, now this is where we're at after 45 minutes. So I'll go ahead and take off the foil. Maybe put it on broil. And if you want it darker, if you want to leave it as is, like I'm going to do, this is just fine. It's a done deal. We'll come back and dish this up later and see how it tastes. Okay, here we have our finished product. I've cut a piece out and here we go. Nice, thick. See all the veggies in there. Plenty of potatoes on top. And you can really get a glimpse of the thickness there. And this is the size dish I used, which is a 3-quart. And when you cut this, it looks like you do get approximately 10 to 12 servings, just as I said. So go ahead, hit this up in your kitchen, and enjoy.